Hello, everybody. It's Tanya here with Stream Like a Boss TV and Get Noticed with Video. I am really, I don't want to say excited, but I'm going to say that I'm going to talk to you tonight about a topic that came up in our community of Stream Bosses. So our Stream Bosses Academy, where we have women coaches, consultants, and course creators who are learning to leverage more on-camera video, like we're embracing our face, so that we can serve more people, sell more services, and stand out online. So in our community, we were talking, I think we did our office hours, and one of the questions came up about, hey, I've been consistent, I've been regular on live streaming, and I still don't get people to show up and to show up consistently. So I really want to talk about this, and I have some tips that I'm going to share, but I'm also going to ask you some questions as well, because I want to hear from you. I want to know what is on your mind and how can I help you to really dig deeper to find out the true cause and to hopefully find some solutions as well. So let me say good evening. Hello. And if you're new to the show, if you're new to the series that we do every week, I want you to type in hashtag newbie. If you've been with us for some time, like Tish and Natalie and Marcia, I'm seeing all of you in the comments. It's beautiful to see you here. Type in hashtag OG if you've been here before. I would love to hear from you. All right, so what I'm going to do is to dive on in tonight, because I do want to ask you a few questions and I want to hear a little bit more about the challenges that you're facing. But I also want to share with you some thoughts, and really even give you some reality checks, like personal reality checks that I've had to have for my own self when it comes to doing live streaming, because frankly, it is more and more difficult to be seen and to stand out when it comes to not just video, but any type of content. So we need to talk a little bit about that. Gwendolyn, wonderful to see you. Yes. Awesome sauce. So look, everybody, here's the thing. If you are feeling challenged with not being seen, there are a few things that you can do. Okay. But before I dive into these things that you can do, the purpose of me sharing in this way is that I want you to start thinking strategically. You probably already are thinking strategically, but I really want you to dig deep, and I want you to jot down the questions that I'm going to have you ask yourself and further explore. So this stream is not the end, right? This stream, let me put myself on Do Not Disturb there. This stream is going to be the beginning of some research. So you're going to have a little homework that I want to share with you. And specifically, I want you to ask yourself these questions and write them down. And you can answer some of them here, right? But you're going to have to take a little time to really do some research, some homework, and get to a place where you feel confident that you have answers to these questions. I have 5 in particular that I want to share with you, okay? 5 questions. Awesome. I see some folks in here. Hold on one second. I'm sorry, y'all. The allergies are crazy right now because these trees here in Texas are just putting out all kinds of pollen and just nastiness. So I've been fighting this little tickle thing all day. All right, and what I did do this time is I did pre-populate my questions. So I'm going to actually put them on screen so you can see them. You're going to write these down and you're going to answer them for yourself. When we get done, as you have the next weekend to kind of ponder and think through these things for your own business, I really want you to kind of pay attention to what comes up for you. So let's talk a little bit about background. One of the reasons, and before I do that, what I always have to do, because I promised I would do this with my streams, is to share with you how I'm broadcasting tonight. So I'm actually using Melon app tonight, and I am broadcasting directly from Melon app into YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. I think I might be on Twitter, but I can't recall. But at least those 3 different areas. So just know that that's where I am right now. And I'm using my regular gear, if you will. So if you have questions about that, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm watching your comments to see how I can answer those. But I'm also going to flip back and forth between the banners, the text that I'm going to pull up, because I want you to really get these questions. Now, if you have not followed our show, if you're not, in tune with what we do, I kind of mentioned a little bit earlier what our focus is. You can find out more information about me over at streamlikeaboss.org or getnoticedwithvideo.com. You'll find all my information there, so I'm not going to spend time doing a bio and all of that. But what I do want to say is that when I first started, before I get into these 5 questions, when I first started doing live streams, my commitment was that I knew I would not get immediate traction. And this is just because of the fact that I've been doing some form of media or marketing for so many years, for 15 plus years. So I knew that just getting on live once and just committing to doing a couple of live streams was not going to do me any good. This is why I made that commitment to say, okay, I'm going to do it for at least a year, every week, even when I don't feel well, even when the hair's not right, even when I don't have makeup on. I'm going to jump on camera and I'm going to deliver my message. So in the process of doing that for that entire year, do you think that people showed up every time? Because they didn't. Especially in the earlier days, I didn't have a full audience of folks. Like right now, I see a pretty good number of folks that are watching, and I appreciate that. And yes, Tish, Twitter does let you go live. Yes, yes. So using a streaming platform, you have that capability to choose Twitter as one of your options. So one of the things that I can tell you from experience is that it's going to take some time. If you've just started, even if you've done a whole month of shows and you're still not getting any traction, do not be discouraged. Because one of the mantras that I really had to adopt was this, that I'm always going to give my message in the right time to the right people, right? Right message, right time, right people. And you just have to continue to repeat that to yourself, and you have to really buy into this affirmation, because everybody is not right for you. Look, I'm wearing my shirt today. I'm not for everyone. And at some point you realize that, right? At some point in your business life and in life in general, you realize that you're not meant for everyone and everyone's not meant for you. And the more you can adopt that and to know that as you start to lose people, for instance, from your email list, if you lose people from your video in your streaming list, your subscriber list, you're losing them in order to make room for the right people. So you please feel confident in that and don't give up immediately simply because people aren't showing up. But look, it's real. If you're feeling a little bit of a bit of angst about the fact that people are not showing up, this is real. Like you are entitled to feel like, oh my God, why am I doing all of this and nothing is happening? And so when the questions came up, I knew, you know what, I need to pivot and go ahead and do a live stream about this. So let's dive into the 5 questions, because I want to make sure we leave enough time to get through all 5. And I'm going to talk about each one of these in some detail, but I won't keep you forever. Okay, here's question number 1, and I want you to write this down because I really want you to do some homework over the weekend and consider your answers to all 5 of these questions. The first question you've heard me mention before, and it is this: who am I trying to reach? So when you think about your live stream series or your show and the episodes that you're doing, and even your videos on demand, you really need to understand who you're trying to reach. There's so many people that will try to reach everybody. And I've shared this analogy before, that when I first started out doing sales, I was an independent beauty consultant. And I remember that one of my mentors at the time said, your customer is everyone with skin. Not so much. That's not true. And it's definitely not true when it comes to doing any type of digital marketing or coaching or course creation or consulting, you need to identify who your audience is. And the reason why you have to start there, you have to have that as a foundation, is because if you don't know who your audience is and you don't know how to talk to them, you don't know what their language, their love language is. You don't know what their buying habits are. And frankly, I don't think any of us have unlimited research and development budgets or unlimited marketing budgets. Okay. If you think about in the news, even just today, I was seeing some things talking about CNN Plus and how after a month they're getting ready to be canceled. It even happens to the larger companies, right? Because we are, and I don't want to say in competition, I'm going to say that there are many people who are talking and using their voice in a digital and an online situation, especially given what we've been through for the last couple of years, right? So there are many people doing virtual styles of marketing, many more than what there used to be. And frankly, when I started 15 plus years ago, it was easy to go on Twitter and just put out a tweet and fill up an entire class. It's not that way anymore. It requires much more strategy and more thinking. So the first thing I want you to really take the time to understand is, who are you trying to reach? Because that's going to lead you into the answers to the next 4 questions I'm going to ask you. So who are you trying to reach so that you can clearly speak to them in a voice and in language that they will get, they will hear, right? If you're not speaking in a way that they will understand and identify themselves as your potential client or the person that needs to hear that information, then all is lost. They're going to be like, hey, she's not talking to me. He's not talking to me. And they move on. So question number 1 is, who am I trying to reach? Okay. So I want you to think about that and really spend some time focusing on this weekend, because I'm going to give you 5. So that was number 1. When you know who you're trying to reach, you can go into number 2. And I didn't put the whole entire question here, but I'm going to say it out loud for you. Is my content interesting to them? So my answer to number 1, if the people I'm trying to reach are, excuse me, if the people I'm trying to reach are accountants, I'm going to throw out bookkeepers, okay? If the people I'm trying to reach are bookkeepers, and the content I'm talking about is about selling homes, is that really identifying, are they going to be able to self-identify that they're who I'm talking to? Not necessarily. Now, unless I'm doing it in the context of, this is why you as a bookkeeper need to know about how to sell a home, right? But there's a disconnect if you don't know who you're talking to, and you can't determine or even research and find out if your content is interesting if you don't know who it is that it's supposed to be interesting to. So I want to share a couple of really specific things on this part. When we talk about, is your content interesting? A couple of things that you can do. I'm going to give you some resources that you can use. First and foremost, you want to find out if there are discussions taking place about the topics that you're sharing, about the content that you're sharing. Are there discussions and conversations already taking place? Are people looking for solutions based on the content you're talking about? This is one of the reasons why I very much listen. I try to pay attention to the folks that are in my communities, whether it's in the free community, it's on my Facebook profile, wherever it might be. But I'm listening because I'm trying to hear, what is it that you need that I could possibly offer a solution to? So when you think about looking and researching for content, a couple of ways you can do this. And you're looking to find active discussions about the topics that you're trying to get into, okay, that you want to talk about for your live streams. You want to type in, first of all, you want to sit down and map out a list of keywords. These words are going to be words and phrases that people who are in your audience that you identified in number one, people would be searching for because they have an active problem that needs a solution. Okay, so what are they asking questions about? And if it's bookkeepers, for instance, are they asking questions about how to make sure that they're charging the right prices, that they are organized and they're effectively creating a project manager system that's going to support their clients and keep them on track with numbers? Whatever it might be. I'm not in that field or industry, so I know I have a few in my community that are. But you can type in or write down a list of keywords that would be related to things that they are going to go and research. And when you write that list of keywords, what I then want you to do is to go into Google, go into Facebook groups, go into LinkedIn groups, and you're going to type in the keyword plus with a plus sign groups. So it might be bookkeeper or bookkeeping plus groups. Okay. And see what pops up. Because if there are small communities of people that are talking about your topic, and you can replace the word bookkeeping with whatever your topic is, because you made a list of phrases and words, I want you to go in and find out what are people asking and talking about. What are they discussing? Are there active discussions taking place about that particular set of phrases or keywords? Also, I'm going to give you a couple of different places you can go and find out if these active discussions are taking place. These are going to be, you're going to be like, oh my God, light bulb moment. First of all, you can go into YouTube and go in the search bar and start typing in your keywords and see what phrases are popping up. Go and check out different videos that are related to those phrases and the topics that you're talking about. Because if it's not an interesting topic, you'll know there won't be much on it. And even if there are other videos about that topic, if you're not seeing a lot of discussion, if you're not seeing a lot of views on those videos, it may be that that content is not interesting to the audience that you've chosen. You got to do your research. So YouTube. You also want to take a look at Amazon. So you're going to go into Amazon and you're going to type in same phrases and keywords that you're talking about, right? Or that you're looking for. And you're going to see what are some of the best sellers that tend to be or come up with that topic, okay? And then I want you to look at the comments that are being made and how recent they are. Now, you know, when you're inside of Amazon and you're looking for books and you're looking for anything really, sometimes the comments are older comments. So what I want to encourage you to do is to sort them by date, okay? So instead of looking at comments that are the most relevant, sort them for the most recent and find out what people are talking about as it relates to that book, which relates back to the phrases or the keywords that you're researching. So Amazon. So now we talked about YouTube, we talked about Amazon. Another site that I want you to think about going to is called Quora, Quora, Quora.com. Let me see if I can pull it up real fast. I'm not sure if I'm logged in or not, but the reason why this is a really good, and some of you who have been with me for a while, you know that I talk about this particular site because it's great for questions. That's all it is a whole entire list of questions. Let me share my screen real quick and I'm going to show you what it looks like, okay? Because I want you to use these as tools to dive in and find out whether or not, let's see, find out whether or not your particular topic is of interest. This is what we're trying to answer is this an interesting topic? Is this something people are looking for and they want me to talk about? Is this something that people are looking for even if they don't know me? Are they having discussions about this topic in other arenas? So in here, literally, these are all categories of different types of content. Let me just type in, since we're staying with the theme, bookkeeping. I'm going to type this in and notice as I type it that there's several different spaces, there are topics. So I'm going to go into topic bookkeeping accounting. And notice that there are different groups. This one has over 1,000 followers with 483 posts in the last week. I suspect that there are probably some good questions and discussions taking place in there. And you want to go and you want to lurk and find out what is it that people are talking about and discussing. Now, let me bring it back to the question. And the question was, is my content interesting? So if you're not having people show up for your live streams, you need to understand whether or not your content is boring or is something that's not even relevant to most people. Maybe it's important to you, but it's not important to enough people to create an audience that's a sustainable audience for you and for your streams. This is where I'm trying to get you to do the research, because I can't answer the question for you specifically, especially because I'm not an expert in every niche. But you are an expert in your own niche. And so now you have an opportunity, and really you're obligated to do the research, do the homework, and find out, is your topic interesting? So Quora.com, Quora, right there, okay? And YouTube, and you can even go to Pinterest, and you can go into Facebook groups and LinkedIn groups and all kinds of other spaces and type in those phrases or those keywords that you've written down on that list with the plus sign groups. You'll find that in the search of Google, okay? You'll find different forums, you'll find different discussions and chatter that's taking place about your topic, or you won't. And if you don't, you should be questioning, okay, maybe I need to change my angle and get some other ideas. So, is my content interesting? Who am I trying to reach, and is my content interesting? Here's number 3. Number 3 is what makes the way I talk about this topic different. What makes me different? Look, there are 1,000 million, jillion, trillion people that talk about video marketing. I am not fooled by any means. There are a lot of people that talk about video marketing, but there's no one that's going to talk about it in the manner that I do, with my own personal experiences and filters and the approach that I use. And I'm good with that. And I know who I am. Do you know who you are? Do you know what makes you different from the next person who is a bookkeeper or a bookkeeping coach? Do you know what makes you different from the other financial services advisors that are giving advice? Don't try to be like everybody else. Be uniquely yourself and really study yourself so that you understand what are those things that make me who I am. And this may take some additional groundwork beyond this weekend, y'all. It's about studying and learning and loving yourself in such a way that you can clearly speak to people about what makes you uniquely you. I know, for instance, that I am a geek. I know that I love technology, that I can pick up any type of software and learn it very quickly. I know that I'm able to take really complex topics and break those down into smaller bites, but I can also speak on a high level. I know that I can talk to any of my clients or anybody in my community, not only about business, but also about holding down a corporate job. I know that I can talk to other people who are in spaces where they have been in the military, they're military veterans, or they're married to, they have a spouse, right, that is a military vet. I know that I can speak to girl moms. These are all unique things about me that make up who I am and how I speak about the topics that I speak about. So what makes you uniquely different, and how does that come into play when you're sharing your content? How does that make an impact on the way that you're sharing your content? The more you know that and can speak to your unique value proposition, is what they call it, UVP, unique value proposition. What is it that makes you uniquely you, that allows you to be able to speak on a different wavelength than maybe somebody else who does similar types of coaching or consulting? You really want to study yourself and know the answers to that. I want to ask a question real quick here. Where are you right now looking for your topics? because I mentioned a couple of places that you can go, and I have a couple of other ones too that just came to mind. But I'm going to ask you that if you can put in the chat, where are you looking for topics for your videos right now, for your live streams? And I want to look and see where people are entering, how you're doing your search. Like, where are you figuring it out? Is it coming out of your head? Are you going and using different resources? I can tell you that vidIQ, in fact, I'll pull this up while you're typing in your answers. vidIQ actually has, I'm going to show you something that I've been using recently, and I really like it. They have something called, and let me put it in dark theme there, daily ideas. Daily ideas. So I'm going to pull this up so you can see what this looks like, okay? And I will share my screen real fast so that you can see it again. So daily ideas inside of vidIQ is an excellent way for you to find out what are some of the hot topics when it comes to videos that we're creating, right? So look, how to use LinkedIn is a very high prediction of people looking this up. Lessons learned from creative, interactive, conversational dramas. That's kind of specific. 4 ways to improve your relationships, how to generate leads on LinkedIn, 3 things to consider before selling your agency. Now, look, as I look at this and I think about my own business and the content that I share, then I have ideas that are seeded that I can further research and find out, okay, is this something I would really want to talk about given my expertise, and how can I put my own unique twist on it? Look at this one. There's one that I saw that might be even good for someone, navigating your money with your partner, couples, finances. There's just a lot of different ways that you can go about getting ideas. This is yet another tool. But what I'm saying is, you want to research and find ideas beyond your own head, right? Okay. Yes. Answer the Public is another really good one too, Tish. Yes. Irene says YouTube, Topic Mojo. Yes, we talked about Topic Mojo not that long ago. Michelle says all of the above: clients, conversations, social media, Google interest. Yes. So you want to do some research and find out what topics are going to be of the most interest. Now, and what makes you different? How are you putting your own spin on these things? And how are you being fully and authentically yourself when you do get on your live streams? That's another thing. Because if you're a copycat of someone else, they can just go watch the original. So be fully yourself when you're doing these lives. Now, here's something that's very tactical. And this is something that we talked about in the community when we had discussion about this topic. If you're wondering why people aren't showing up, I have to ask you, are you letting people know that you're even going live? Do they know? And one of the things I want to say here, which may sound like it's easy, but we think that Facebook, we think that YouTube, we think that these social platforms are going to promote us and they're going to tell people, and they will on some level. But I can tell you, even within the last couple of weeks, I've heard over and over again, yeah, I've been posting all this content in my Facebook group and nobody's seeing it. I'm in that same boat too. Like, I'm posting all this content and there's a lot of people in there, but why are people not seeing it? I can see the reach, which means they're not even being shown this content. And the same goes for some of these alerts I'm finding, right? So just because someone is a member of your community or group, it doesn't necessarily mean that they have their notifications set such that they will see when you go live. So what does that mean for you? That means you have to take back control of the communication, and you are obligated to not rely on Facebook or whoever to tell people. You also want to make really good use of a couple of things. One, you want to make really good use of an email list. So if you're not already building an email list, you must focus on list building and get subscribers to your email list, because that way you can share a reminder and share in advance ahead of time that I'm going to be going live at 7 p.m. Eastern or Central or whatever on this date. So you want to leverage email. You can send people a reminder in advance. It could be the same day. It could be a couple of days before, or a day, 24 hours before, or 15 minutes before, but leverage email. Another thing you want to leverage as it relates to making sure people know is social media posts beyond just the pre-recorded. Like if you're scheduling, let me share this. When you're scheduling inside of your streaming platform, if you're using StreamYard or Melon or any of the things, right? When you go in, you can pre-schedule your live. And so I've shared this in my academy, how to do that. But you can pre-schedule your live, which then creates a unique link where your live stream will be shown. And it also gives people an opportunity to be able to be pointed to that link so that when they get to the page, they can click and get alerts. I love this especially for YouTube because it says get reminders or set reminders so that they receive the notification when you're going to go live. The same thing happens in Facebook. The same thing happens in LinkedIn. So you can and you should pre-schedule as best you can your video so that people will know that you're going to be on live. But again, that's still partially relying on the social platform to tell people. So you need to marry that, the platform, with the idea of using email. And if you have a text messaging community, you can also use texting. I haven't been the best at doing that, but I know a lot of you who have implemented and used SMS communications, and that's another really great way. Have people sign up for SMS alerts every time you're going to be going live, okay? Then you can share in advance, but you need to let people know. If they don't know and you're just popping up and it's random times of day, right? And random days of the week, then yeah, they may not show up because they didn't even know you were going to be on at that time, which leads me into question number 5. And before I go there, let me double check these comments. She said, stop. Oh my gosh, Tish, you just nailed it. So Tish just shared something that some of you are probably thinking as I'm saying this whole pre-scheduled thing. If I told people there's a chance they might actually show up live with me, and that scares me. I know, right? But again, on the opposite side of that, there's a chance that they might actually show up live. And that's a good thing because you're here because you want more people to show up. So you got to tell them. The other thing that telling people in advance does is it holds you accountable. That was one of the main reasons why I said I'm going to do lives every week for an entire year, because I knew if I didn't hold myself accountable and if I didn't tell people I was going to do this, it would be easier for me to wimp out and not do it. I knew that. I know myself. I know it is an icky word, accountable. But look, that is the way that we get to success, is when we hold ourselves dear and we hold ourselves as valuable enough to show up and to speak with our voices on camera. Right? Yes, Leanne, I know, girl. It is so many of us. If we don't tell people, it may not happen. It's like when I tell my kids, look, if it's not on the calendar, it ain't happening. If I don't see it, and if you don't see it, it may not happen. And that's the same thing with these pre-scheduled notices where you're telling people, hey, I'm going to be live on this date and time, and you're creating a little graphic image that you're putting up. Maybe you're putting up a story with a countdown timer, right? All of these things are not only reminders for other people, but they're reinforcement for you that you need to show up, because somebody, the right person, might be there to hear the right message at the right time. Remember the mantra. Right person, right message, right time. Even if it's only one person, if it's two people, if it's no people, and you say you're going to show up, please show up. Show up for yourself, because the more you show up for yourself, the more confident you become on your videos. And the more likely other people will see that confidence and they will show up too, because they want a little bit of that. Have you ever seen confident people are people that other people want to be around because they feel like that could rub off on me, right? So look, y'all, put yourselves out there as the bold and amazing human beings that you are, even when it seems like there's crickets. And when you get on camera, don't get on camera with the, well, I'm just going to wait and see if there's 5 people that are going to show. No, don't do that. Dive into your content. I tell you, I am very disciplined in doing that even in this moment. When I get on to my training calls, and anybody can tell you this, even if everybody else hasn't shown up, I'm always on time, and I'm going to start even if I'm speaking to an empty audience, because I begin the recording and I know somebody might watch the replay, and typically they do. Yes, yes, yes. I love it. And there's my Philly Cable Dave in the house. It's good to see you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes. Oh, I love this. Dance or live stream like everyone is watching. Yes, because you don't know who is watching. And the person or persons that are watching, even long after your live is over, could really feel an impact. They could be transformed by that one thing you said. And if you didn't show up, they would never hear that message. They would never see it. So I want you to hold yourself as valuable. Hold yourself in high esteem. Put yourself out there, even when it looks like it's a slim audience. Just that one person. Just that one person could have a transformation that makes all the difference. So definitely be thinking in those terms. Let me give you my final question. So remember, I was saying, am I letting people know? Am I telling people in advance or ahead of time? Here's the other thing that you want to ask. And I promise I'll go back through all 5 questions in case you didn't get a chance to write those down. And plus, this is going to be up on a replay. But number 5, am I on at the right time and the right day of the week? Now, there are going to be a lot of different articles and tools. Even vidIQ tells you best time of day to post videos on demand in particular, but I think you can probably use it to apply to live streams as well. Am I on at the right time and day? One of the things you're going to have to do is to experiment. So I'm going to speak to somebody very specific here. You know who you are, because we talked. You have to, first of all, go back to question number 1, which is, who am I trying to reach? Now, I'm going to give you an example of what I mean when I say you got to go back to question number 1, because I know, for instance, a gentleman who I worked with a few years ago. I was coaching him on his business, and he handled reverse mortgages. Now, reverse mortgages typically have an audience of older people, people who are already past the first home buying stage. They've had a home. The reverse mortgage situation is going to be something that's going to be more likely that they would be engaged in at their age, in their age group, in a certain demographic versus others. Okay. Knowing that about this audience of his, my question was, are you going live? Are you doing videos at a time of day and on a day of the week that they're going to be most likely to show up? Or are they eating dinner? Are they preparing for bed? Because I go to bed early the older I get. I'm going to say that. What are they engaged in, right? So you want to be thinking about your audience, which is why you got to go back to number 1 in order to answer number 5. You need to know who you're talking to. I know that many of the coaches, consultants, and course creators I work with Some of them have other jobs. And so they're typically going to be working during the middle of the day, which is why I do not go live until after work hours. I know I'm not going to get up at 5 a.m. and do a live, although I am up at 5 every morning and sometimes earlier. I'm not going to do a live stream at that time for two reasons. One, because I hate talking to people that early in the morning. Like, I'm totally quiet. I'm such an introvert. Like, we don't talk at my house that early. That's my quiet time and my time to start preparing and thinking and planning for the day. But the other reason is I know that most of my audience members, because I've studied and researched and I know who they are typically in preparation to do other things as well. So they're not going to be listening to me at that time of morning. So depending on who your audience is, what are their age, what's their age group, what's their demographics, what occupation are they involved in? Do they have 2+, 2.5 kids? Like, do they have younger children? If they're moms and they have young babies, like, what time of day would typically be the likely time that they're going to be available? Are they available on weekends? Are they like me? I'm a soccer mom and I'm typically doing some games, or I'm, you know, just trying to get some downtime on Saturday and Sunday. So I typically will not watch anybody else's webinar alive on the weekend because I'm chilling. And I'm thinking that many of the folks in my audience are too, except for our Creator Day, which we love. It's Saturday mornings. So I'm saying you need to think through all these things. So let's go back through all 5. And while we're going through the 5, I want to ask you another question. Are you currently scheduling your live streams in advance? I want to know if you're scheduling your live streams ahead of time, and how do you let people know? So if you can just answer that in the chat, I'm really curious to see what you all are doing. So are you scheduling ahead already? Are you doing this now? And how are you letting people know? Okay, while you're writing that, I'm going to go back through a summary of the 5. So number 1, who am I trying to reach? Remember, this is at the core of the entire question. You've got to find out who you're trying to reach. You need to research and understand who is my ideal audience. And I like to talk about this audience as the folks who are most likely to invest in my bigger, broader services and programs. I want to reach those people because I know I can give them even more of a transformation than what they get with my simple 45-minute or 30-minute live stream every week. So who am I trying to target? Okay, who do I really, really want to reach? You said social media and prayer, Michelle. Yes, and prayer does work. Yes. Roger, it's good to see you in the house, sir. I love it. I love it. I love it. This is my brother right here, my brother from another mother. Yes. So I want you to really start scheduling out. So number 1 was, let me go back. Who am I trying to reach? Number 2 is my content interesting to that audience? You can add to that audience at the end of this. So who am I trying to reach, and is my content of interest to them? Have I done the research and the homework to really find that out? Am I talking about topics that matter to them? Am I talking about topics that they're researching right now in this moment? Maybe they were researching something 2 years ago that doesn't matter in this moment. So what are they researching right now? What are they talking about right now? And I gave you a couple of different resources you can look into to just scan and do some homework on that. Number 3, what makes me different? If there are 500 other people that are talking about this same topics and these content pieces that I'm putting out there, what is the difference in the way in which I talk about it? How do I do it in my own unique style where I'm fully embracing who I am and I'm putting my own personal spin on the topic? Number 4, am I letting people know? Am I using email? Am I using social media? Am I using the platform, the streaming platform, to pre-schedule my videos? Do all the things. Am I using text messages? Am I tweeting about it? What am I doing to let people know? My question for you is, what are you doing to let people know and to let people be aware of your offers, your business, and when you're going live? How are you letting people know? Because one of the things we can't sit back and do is we can't sit back and say, Facebook's not showing my stuff. We can't do that because it's not on them. It's on us. What are we doing to make sure that people know? Do we have an open mouth and an open store? What are you doing to make sure people know? I want you to ask yourself that. Okay, and then number 5, if I am letting people know, am I actually going live and am I doing my videos on the right time and the right day of the week? Because there needs to be that perfect marriage of what works for you personally, but what also matters to your audience. What's the time of day and day of the week that they're more likely to show up, that they're more likely to have some availability and to make space and room in their schedule to come see you and hang out with you? Like, I love that so many of you have been popping in and popping out this evening to talk with me. I know that this is a good sweet spot, but I didn't start off here at this time and day. For those of you who have been with me for a long time, some of you OGs that put hashtag OG in early on, some of you know that I've been on different times and days. I used to be on a Tuesday and I was a little bit earlier. Before that, I had 2 days during the week. It got to be too cumbersome with my schedule. I have experimented, and that's how I know the sweet spot for me. I know when I'm going to be energized and I'm going to be up level, and I'm also knowing when my audience is more likely to be on with me so that we can engage in these conversations we've been having in the chat. So you have to find that happy spot, that sweet spot for you and for your audience members. And it may take a little bit of experimenting. So if you're struggling and you're not getting people to your lives, I want you to really consider playing around with the date and time. And one tip, one thing that you can do, because many of you have streaming platforms now, and I see your question, I'm going to answer that, Tech Troublemaker. One of the things that you can do is you can actually tape your video, your live stream, and I'm saying live stream, but you can pre-record if you're trying to test out times. You can either pre-record it and then put it into your streaming platform and let it play on a different time and day for the next several weeks and see which of those times and days actually get the most traction. That's one way to test it. Another way is, just like I'm going live right now, like I'm literally here with you right now on April 21st. What I could do is do a replay of this exact live using the streaming platform that I'm on. I can do a replay of it on another day and time and see if it's getting even more eyes on it at that time. But the key is that you want it to go through the live feed, right? So you want to share your pre-recorded as a live through the live feed. Not that you're pretending or telling anybody you're there when you're really not. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is you're testing to see if you get greater visibility at different times. So I'm going to answer this question. Let's see if we can answer. Scheduling. What if I don't know my topic yet, but I go live every week, same day and time? Dude, this happens to me all the time. So I'll tell you what I typically do, and I did it today. I always have kind of a store of ideas, right? So I have a list in Notion. I don't know if any of you have heard of Thomas J. Frank, but Thomas Frank has something called Creator Companion, and it is a Notion notebook that I went out and bought. And I use that to gather content ideas. So I keep my list of ideas as, I showed you earlier, the vidIQ. I use a bunch of other tools too to just give me ideas. I add those ideas to the list of questions, common FAQs that people in my community, in my space are asking, so that I always have some topics that I can research further right? And I try my best. I try, but sometimes I fail, and I failed this week. I'm gonna be honest with you. I try my best in answer to your question to post something on Monday or Tuesday of the week about my Thursday. But there are some weeks I just don't know for sure what I want to talk about. And there will be that conversation that we're having in the academy, or that conversation that I saw in a Facebook post, or that conversation that I saw on a Twitter feed that leads me to think, you know what? That is a topic that is a hot topic right now, and I want to talk about that. So I did not choose, and I didn't get specific about tonight's topic. It kind of was seeded for me earlier this week, but I didn't get specific about it until late last night. And last night is when I pre-scheduled it. So I just popped into Canva. I used one of my templates, popped my face in there, came up, did my research on a title and the format of the title using AI. I'm giving y'all my secrets now. And I put this into my scheduler. This time I used Melon because I like to play with different ones at different times so that I can stay on top of, what's changing. I popped it into Melon and I let that thing go. But I literally just scheduled this call, this live stream topic last night. I prefer to do it earlier, but sometimes I'm just okay with waiting until I'm led. And I think that's okay for you too. Even if, in answer to your question, that same day and time, that morning of, you figured out, you had a light bulb moment that said, ooh, you know what? This is a topic that would be a good one for my audience, because I remember us having this conversation yesterday and it really triggered something for me. I think we should give ourselves a little grace about the topics, although there is some value to having things pre-planned. And I've seen that in other people's spaces, such as Live Streaming Pros, so Luria Petrucci, the Ecamm Live community. Many of them already have a pre-planned, fully written out calendar. That just doesn't work for me all the time. I like ideas and having a bank of ideas, but I also want to give myself the space to be able to pivot and talk about something that is top of mind for the folks that are in my space. So I think that you can have a happy medium. And that was a really long answer to your question, but I hope I answered it. So if that made you complete, let me know. Yes. Thank you, Tish. So yeah, I wanted to make sure to address this because it was top of mind for several people. I could see that it was something that was really bothering a few of them, that you've been doing these live streams, you've been getting on these videos, you've been diligent, you've been following all the advice and been on the same time and day every week, and things just are not working. There has to be a solution, and the solution doesn't mean that you quit. So I want you to explore those questions and find out if there is a solution that will help you other than quitting, other than canceling, because I believe that there probably is something that just needs to be tweaked a little bit. And it could be the date and time. It could be the content. It could be the approach you're using in delivering the content. You can get critical feedback from people you trust to find that out. It could be something just minute that needs to switch up a little bit. Do your homework on that and use tools like vidIQ, like TubeBuddy, right? To give you some ideas about things that you can change. I believe that TubeBuddy, and it's one word, TubeBuddy. If you're in my community, feel free to DM me and I'll send you a link. But TubeBuddy actually also does an audit. And I said I was going to offer that soon, but I haven't gotten to that place yet. I'm not there in this moment. But they will offer an audit to take a look at your videos. I really think I need to implement that. And they will give you some ideas on things you need to tweak. Okay? Yes. And in answer to your question, Michelle, Notion is a platform. It's an app. So it's not a physical book. Notion.so. Notion.so. All right. I'm checking to see if there's any other questions. If you have any burning questions, go ahead and pop them in. I'm looking for them. And otherwise, we will get ready to wrap. Okay. I hope this is helpful to you, and I hope that you got at least one or two nuggets that you can look into to help you to be more effective with your lives and to have more of an audience, because it's not fun to get on camera every week like clockwork and continuously put work and effort into content and then only find that no one's showing up. And yes, Tech Troublemaker prefer TubeBuddy over vidIQ. Right now I'm using both of them because I'm trying to get a feel for them, but I can see that. I can see that. And TubeBuddy, by the way, has a creator day. I think it's coming up this Saturday. So that may be something to look into. You can find it all over Twitter and YouTube. TubeBuddy is what I'm saying. All right, so no other questions or comments. We'll go ahead and get ready to wrap. Use at least one or two or three or all five of these questions. Do your homework over the weekend. Find out what you can tweak. Make some tweaks before you make a decision to give up, because I feel like there's probably something minor that just needs to be changed up. And then you'll start seeing the success you want and the results you want. That's my hope for you. Okay? And if you need a little bit more support, reach out and we'll figure something out. Okay? All right, everybody, have a wonderful week. You're so welcome, Tech Troublemaker. Appreciate it. I love that name, by the way. That's so cool. Y'all have a wonderful rest of the week and stay safe. Leanne, yes, definitely watch the replay. Write down all five of those questions and then go to work. Go to work. Find that solution for your stream. And if I can help, then I certainly will. Natasha, it's good to see you too. You're very, very welcome. Y'all have a good night and take good care, okay? See you next time. I'll be back next Thursday, same time, same channel, and we'll have some more tips for you. If you have ideas on things you want to learn about, you want me to talk about, feel free to send me a DM on those anytime from whatever channel you're watching from. I'll pay attention because I'm very responsive. All right. Take care, y'all.